There comes a quiet moment, usually after 60, when you realize your legs no longer carry you with the same certainty. They hesitate, feel colder, heavier, less responsive, as if the message from your heart is arriving late. Most people accept this as aging, but what if it isn't decline at all? Only a forgotten conversation between movement and blood flow. What if one simple, gentle exercise, practiced for minutes a day, could restore warmth, strength, and confidence to your legs? Not by pushing harder, but by listening more carefully to how the human body was designed to move. After the age of 60, leg circulation does not collapse in a dramatic or obvious way. It quietly reorganizes itself in response to years of accumulated habits, subtle physiological shifts, and an increasing tendency towards stillness. The body, always adaptive, begins to prioritize efficiency over resilience, and in doing so, the lower limbs often receive less frequent stimulation. Blood, which once moved briskly through flexible vessels aided by strong muscle contractions, now travels more slowly, meeting resistance from stiffened arteries and veins that no longer expand and recoil with youthful ease. This is not a malfunction, but a biological response to reduced demand. One of the most important yet least discussed contributors to poor leg circulation after 60 is muscle inactivity. The heart alone is not responsible for moving blood upward from the feet back toward the chest. The calf muscles act as a powerful secondary pump, squeezing deep veins each time the ankle flexes or the foot pushes against the ground. When walking becomes shorter, less frequent, or hesitant, this pump weakens. Muscles shrink not from age itself, but from lack of use, and veins lose the rhythmic compression they depend on. Circulation slows not because the heart forgets how to beat, but because the legs forget how to participate. Stillness accelerates this process in ways that are easy to underestimate. Sitting for long periods, especially with the legs bent and unmoving, allows blood to pool in the lower limbs. Gravity becomes a constant opponent, and without regular muscle contraction, venous valves receive less support. Over time, this pooling creates sensations of heaviness, swelling, numbness, or coldness in the feet. These sensations often discourage movement, creating a feedback loop where discomfort leads to more stillness, and stillness deepens the discomfort. Aging blood vessels themselves also contribute to the problem. The inner lining of arteries and veins, which plays a crucial role in regulating blood flow, becomes less responsive with time. It releases fewer signals that tell vessels when to relax and widen. This reduced responsiveness is influenced by oxidative stress, inflammation, and decades of exposure to fluctuating blood sugar and blood pressure levels. When vessels cannot adapt quickly, blood moves with less grace, and the legs, being farthest from the heart, feel this change first. There is also a neurological dimension that is rarely acknowledged. Nerves that coordinate movement and sensation in the legs transmit signals more slowly with age. This affects balance, timing, and confidence in movement. People unconsciously shorten their stride, lift their feet less, and avoid uneven surfaces. These protective behaviors are understandable, but they reduce the very movements that sustain circulation. The body, sensing caution, responds by conserving rather than circulating. What makes this decline especially subtle is that it unfolds alongside normal aging, making it easy to dismiss as inevitable. Cold feet are blamed on weather, swelling on long days, heaviness on fatigue. Yet beneath these explanations lies a common thread: reduced mechanical stimulation of blood flow. The legs are not failing, they are understimulated. Biology follows use, not intention, and tissues that are not regularly challenged gently withdraw their full function. Walking, often recommended as the universal solution, does help, but it has limitations after 60. Joint pain, fear of falling, uneven terrain, and inconsistent routines reduce its effectiveness. Many people walk without fully engaging their ankles or feet, limiting the activation of the calf pump. Others walk too infrequently to create lasting vascular adaptation. Movement becomes something done occasionally rather than something woven into daily physiology. Stillness, then, becomes the silent accelerator of aging, not because it is inherently harmful, but because the human circulatory system evolved in motion. When motion diminishes, circulation reorganizes around conservation rather than flow. This shift does not announce itself with pain or crisis. It reveals itself gradually through diminished warmth, endurance, and responsiveness in the legs. Understanding this changes the conversation about aging and circulation. It reframes poor light blood flow not as a failure of the body, but as a mismatch between biological design and modern patterns of rest. The solution, therefore, does not lie in force or intensity, but in restoring frequent, meaningful movement that speaks directly to the muscles and vessels of the lower limbs. When movement returns, even gently, circulation follows, because the body remembers pathways that were never lost, only quieted long before circulation could be measured with imaging or quantified through pressure readings. Chinese movement traditions approached the body as a living network of pathways that thrived on continuity rather than force. What modern science calls blood flow, they observed as vitality moving through the limbs, changing temperature, color, and sensation in response to motion and breath. While the language was different, the underlying observation was remarkably precise. The body circulates best when movement is slow, repeated, and harmonious rather than abrupt or exhausting. What often surprises modern researchers is how closely these traditional practices align with current vascular science. Gentle, cyclical movements of the ankles, knees, and hips create alternating compression and release within muscles, which directly supports venous return. This rhythmic action mirrors what clinicians now describe as optimal mechanical stimulation for blood vessels. The vessels respond not just to pressure, but to patterns. Slow, deliberate motion produces steady shear forces along vessel walls, encouraging them to remain flexible and responsive rather than rigid and reactive. Traditional Chinese exercises placed great emphasis on the feet, recognizing them as gateways rather than endpoints. The soles contain dense networks of nerves and small blood vessels that influence balance and circulation throughout the legs. When these areas are activated through intentional weight shifts and controlled lifts, neural signals travel upward, coordinating muscle engagement all the way to the hips. Modern neuroscience confirms that this sensory input sharpens motor control, making movement more efficient and circulation more evenly distributed. Breathing was never treated as a separate function in these practices. Slow, deep breaths, synchronized with movement, alter pressure within the chest and abdomen, subtly assisting blood return to the heart. Science now understands this as a mechanical and neurological phenomenon. Controlled breathing reduces sympathetic nervous system activity, lowering vessel constriction, while simultaneously creating pressure changes that draw blood upward from the lower body. What appears meditative on the surface turns out to be physiologically strategic. Another overlooked insight from these traditions is their respect for fatigue. Movements were designed to be repeatable without exhaustion, allowing daily practice without recovery debt. From a scientific perspective, this matters deeply. Blood vessels adapt not to occasional intensity, but to consistent stimulation. Gentle, daily motion trains endothelial cells to respond more readily, maintaining elasticity and improving flow. Harsh or infrequent exercise may strengthen muscles, but it does little to teach vessels how to remain adaptable across the day. Modern vascular studies increasingly support this principle. Research shows that frequent low-intensity movement can improve leg circulation more sustainably than sporadic high-intensity activity, especially in older adults. The body interprets consistency as safety. When movement feels safe, protective tension decreases, allowing blood to move with less resistance. Traditional Chinese exercises intuitively created this sense of safety through simplicity and predictability. Perhaps most compelling is how these practices address the nervous system alongside the circulatory system. Aging is often accompanied by heightened vigilance, a subtle fear of pain, imbalance, or injury. This state of alertness constricts blood vessels and alters movement patterns. Slow, mindful exercises calm this internal alarm. As the nervous system settles, muscles soften, joints move more freely, and circulation improves as a natural consequence rather than a forced outcome. What emerges is a profound convergence between ancient insight and modern evidence. Traditional Chinese movement did not aim to fix circulation as a problem. It aimed to maintain dialogue between motion, breath, and awareness. Science now reveals that this dialogue is exactly what blood vessels require to function optimally over time. This alignment challenges the assumption that progress in health always means replacement rather than integration. The value of these exercises lies not in their cultural origin, but in their biological wisdom. They respect the aging body's need for repetition, gentleness, and coherence. When these needs are met, circulation responds not with sudden change, but with gradual, reliable restoration, reminding us that sometimes the most advanced solution is one that never relied on force to begin with. When examining how a single, simple exercise can influence leg circulation so profoundly, it helps to step away from the idea that the body works in isolated systems. Movement, blood flow, and nerve signaling are deeply intertwined, and when one is engaged thoughtfully, the others respond almost automatically. The effectiveness of this Chinese exercise lies not in complexity, but in its ability to activate multiple biological mechanisms at the same time without overwhelming any of them. At the most visible level, the exercise engages the muscles of the feet, ankles, and calves through slow, controlled lifting and lowering. These muscles are uniquely positioned to influence circulation because they surround deep veins that return blood to the heart. Each gentle contraction compresses these veins, while each relaxation allows them to refill. This creates a pumping action that assists the heart, especially in overcoming gravity. Unlike abrupt or forceful movements, slow repetition ensures that this pump works efficiently without creating strain or fatigue. Beneath this muscular action, a more subtle process unfolds within the blood vessels themselves. The inner lining of vessels is highly sensitive to the flow of blood across its surface. When movement creates steady, rhythmic flow rather than erratic surges, these cells respond by releasing substances that help vessels relax and maintain elasticity. Over time, this improves the ability of blood vessels to widen when needed, reducing resistance and enhancing circulation throughout the legs. Nerves play an equally important role in this process. The feet and ankles are rich in sensory receptors that inform the brain about position, pressure, and movement. When these receptors are stimulated through deliberate motion, they send clear signals that sharpen coordination and timing. This improved neural communication leads to more efficient muscle activation, ensuring that contractions occur in a balanced and synchronized way. As coordination improves, circulation becomes smoother because muscles compress veins evenly rather than sporadically. The exercise also influences the autonomic nervous system, which quietly regulates blood vessel tone. Slow, mindful movement paired with calm breathing is often treated as a background function, something that happens automatically and therefore seems unworthy of attention. Yet when examining circulation, especially in the aging body, breathing reveals itself as a powerful partner to movement. Slow, intentional breathing changes the internal environment of the body in ways that directly influence how blood travels through the legs. And when paired with gentle exercise, its effect becomes even more profound. Each breath creates subtle pressure changes within the chest and abdomen. When you inhale deeply and calmly, pressure inside the chest decreases, making it easier for blood to return to the heart. At the same time, the diaphragm descends, gently compressing abdominal vessels and encouraging blood to move upward. This mechanical assistance is often overlooked, yet it plays a crucial role in supporting circulation from the lower limbs. Shallow or hurried breathing diminishes this effect, leaving gravity to work alone against the veins of the legs. Breathing also shapes the nervous system's influence on blood vessels. Slow, steady breaths activate calming neural pathways that reduce unnecessary vessel constriction. In contrast, rapid or anxious breathing signals the body to prepare for threat, tightening blood vessels and redirecting blood away from the extremities. Over time, habitual stress breathing can contribute to chronically reduced leg circulation. When breathing slows, vessels soften, and blood finds fewer obstacles as it moves through the lower limbs. The rhythm of breath naturally complements slow movement. When motion is synchronized with breathing, muscles contract and relax in harmony rather than in isolation. This harmony improves efficiency. Instead of sharp, uneven compressions of veins, the body produces a smooth, wave-like pumping effect. Blood responds well to predictability. Steady rhythms allow vessels to adapt and respond without defensive tension, improving flow with less effort. There is also a cognitive dimension to breathing that influences circulation indirectly. Conscious breathing draws attention inward, anchoring awareness in the present moment. This shift reduces mental agitation and muscular guarding, especially in older adults who may move cautiously due to fear of pain or imbalance. When the mind relaxes, the body follows. Muscles release unnecessary tension, joints move more freely, and circulation improves as resistance diminishes. Slow movement reinforces this effect by encouraging patience and precision. Rather than rushing from one position to another, the body explores transitions fully. Ankles articulate through their full range, calves engage evenly, and weight transfers smoothly through the feet. These details matter. They determine how evenly veins are compressed and how effectively blood is propelled upward. Rushed movement skips these nuances, limiting circulatory benefit. From a physiological perspective, this combination of breath and movement supports vascular health at the cellular level. Steady blood flow stimulates the inner lining of vessels in a way that promotes flexibility and resilience. Erratic flow, often caused by irregular breathing or abrupt movement, can stress these cells. Over time, consistent, gentle rhythms teach vessels to respond with ease rather than rigidity. What is especially important after 60 is that this approach respects energy reserves. The goal is not to exhaust the body, but to awaken it. Slow breathing ensures that oxygen delivery matches demand, preventing the buildup of fatigue signals that discourage continued movement. When exercise feels nourishing rather than draining, it becomes sustainable, and sustainability is essential for long-term circulatory improvement. The psychological impact should not be underestimated. When older adults experience warmth returning to their legs during calm movement, they regain trust in their bodies. This trust reduces fear-based stillness and encourages regular activity. Breath becomes a guide, reminding the body when to soften and when to engage, creating a feedback loop that supports circulation throughout the day. In this way, breathing and slow movement form a quiet partnership. One regulates internal pressure and nervous tone. The other provides mechanical stimulation and sensory feedback. Together, they create conditions in which blood can move freely without force. Circulation improves not through intensity, but through coherence. As the body responds to rhythms it recognizes and welcomes, allowing flow to return as a natural expression of balance and presence. Beyond the measurable changes in blood flow and muscle activity, there is a deeper transformation that occurs when circulation begins to improve in the aging body. This transformation touches dignity, independence, and the quiet confidence that comes from feeling at home within one's own legs again. Poor circulation does not only affect tissues, it affects identity. When movement becomes uncertain or uncomfortable, people gradually withdraw from activities that once defined their daily lives, not because they lack desire, but because their bodies no longer feel trustworthy. Restoring circulation through gentle, accessible movement sends a powerful message to the nervous system and the mind. It communicates that the body is still capable of responding, adapting, and improving. This realization shifts posture, gait, and presence. People stand a little taller, take steps with more assurance, and engage more willingly with the world around them. These changes may appear subtle, but they accumulate into a renewed sense of autonomy. Independence in later life is closely tied to mobility. The ability to walk comfortably, stand for a few minutes, or rise from a chair without hesitation influences decisions about social engagement, travel, and self-care. When circulation improves, fatigue decreases and sensation returns, making movement feel safer and more predictable. This predictability reduces the mental load associated with movement, freeing attention for conversation, enjoyment, and connection. There is also an emotional component that deserves attention. Cold, heavy, or numb legs can create a persistent sense of discomfort that drains emotional energy. When warmth and responsiveness return, so does a sense of vitality. This vitality is not the exuberance of youth, but a steady assurance that the body can support daily life. Such assurance nurtures confidence and reduces anxiety related to aging and physical decline. Compassion plays a crucial role in this process. Gentle exercises honor the body's current capacity rather than punishing it for perceived limitations. This approach fosters a kinder relationship with oneself, replacing frustration with curiosity. When people move with compassion, they are more likely to remain consistent, and consistency is what ultimately sustains improvement. The body responds best when it feels respected rather than coerced. Social dynamics are also influenced by restored mobility. Individuals who feel confident in their movement are more likely to participate in communal activities, strengthening social bonds that are essential for mental and emotional health. Improved circulation supports this participation by reducing discomfort and increasing endurance, making social engagement less taxing and more enjoyable. From a broader perspective, reclaiming movement challenges cultural narratives that equate aging with inevitable decline. It demonstrates that while change is unavoidable, deterioration is not absolute. The body retains remarkable capacity for adaptation when given appropriate stimuli. This realization empowers individuals to take an active role in their health, shifting from passive acceptance to engaged stewardship. The psychological impact of this shift cannot be overstated. Feeling capable fosters motivation, which in turn encourages further movement and self-care. This positive feedback loop reinforces both physical and mental well-being. As confidence grows, individuals are more inclined to explore new activities or revisit old ones, enriching their lives and reinforcing the benefits of improved circulation. Ultimately, the restoration of leg circulation through simple, mindful exercise is about more than blood flow. It is about reclaiming a sense of self that feels grounded, capable, and engaged. It affirms that aging bodies deserve care that supports dignity and independence, and that even small daily actions can profoundly influence quality of life. Through compassionate movement, individuals rediscover that their bodies remain partners in living, responsive to gentle guidance and capable of sustaining a life marked by confidence and quiet strength.